Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. In this video, I'm going to talk about just one thing. It's about Western Union, potential Ripple partnership. Will they use cryptocurrencies ever? So since I'm talking about one thing, I have no idea if this is going to be a quick video or if it's going to take me a long time to get through this, but to be honest, when I start recording these videos, I pretty much never have a clue how long they're going to go, which is why I've had a few that have bordered on about 40 minutes. That was never my intent when that happened, so we'll just see how long it takes to get through this. But I want to tell you at the outset here, if you stick with me through this one, you're going to learn something. You're going to hear from a perspective of a CEO of a crypto company. I'll get into the specifics of it in just a moment here, but there's a gentleman who I found who wrote a piece, and I found it to be very insightful, even though I am going to take him to task on at least a couple points, because I think he's got some misconceptions about the value of stablecoins and what it can do for remittances, but a lot to go through here. Before we get going, if you would please delicately tap that like button, and if you are a fan of Ripple and XRP, and if you'd love to see a Ripple partnership with Western Union, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. It'll be a good time. So there's one piece in particular I want to talk about, but right before getting into it, this is Western Union related actually. I wanted to cover this. I haven't mentioned this on my channel, and it's real brief. This is from Alex Cobb's website, the XRP Daily, and this is from July 2nd this year. It states, Ripple and Western Union October 2019 Pay Expo Panel Discussion. On October 8th, 2019, Jeremy Light, VP of EU Strategic Accounts, Ripple, and Chris Fletcher, Global Head of Digital and Channel Partnerships, Global Payments, Western Union, will have a panel discussion about trends in cross-border payments and international trade at the Pay Expo conference in London. Western Union is confirmed to be running trials with Ripple's institutional-grade product XRapid, which specifically leverages the XRP ledger. Western Union is still trialing the product. And by the way, that trial's been going on for year and a half, something like that. It's like they don't want to say no, but they don't want to use it yet today. And I've got so much on this topic. You're going to really enjoy this video. All right, here's a tweet from Leonidas. This is on June 19th this year. And I have covered this before, but just kind of setting the table here. So he tweeted out, Western Union CEO Hikmet Ersek speaking about Ripple and MoneyGram. Western Union still testing Ripple, looking at Ripple and learning from Ripple. And then here's a quote from him, the Western Union CEO. The quote is, look, hey, I'm open. Any cost savings, any innovation, I'm there. We can sign a deal tomorrow. Interesting, right? Recently, Western Union's biggest competitor, MoneyGram, announced moving forward with using XRapid in a very large way. This panel has the potential to spark a very interesting discussion. And so I'm going to be looking forward to this. I am really hoping that there's video of this, because it's not like I think there's going to be some sort of smackdown. I mean, the way that people look at this in the XRP community, it's as if there's a showdown essentially between Ripple and Western Union. And while that can sound like a fun and entertaining narrative, and I'll probably put that in the title of this video, it's not really quite like that. There are rational reasons for why Western Union is doing what it's doing, and that's why I'm really looking forward to getting into the meat of this video here, which I will go ahead and do now. I got this piece that I'm about to share with you from Panda Ripple XRP on Twitter, and he tweeted out, check out this article by George Harrop, CEO at BitSpark Limited. He talks about RippleNet, Western Union using blockchain, and many other insights. Interesting read. It was an excellent read. It's very, very, very long, so I'm going to cover just a couple portions of it. I just after reading the whole thing, I was like, I would love for you all to know everything, which is why we'll link below, but there are just select portions that I'm going to be able to share with you. Otherwise, this would just, even though I'm covering one topic, I know the video would go way too long if I literally covered the whole thing. Now, BitSpark, I had not heard of them before, so I pulled them up, and after looking at the front page here, I know now why I was not aware of them. Here's their front page, and it states, okay, so they're world's first crypto money transfer ecosystem. Anyway, it states, since 2014, BitSpark has enabled customers to cash in and cash out cryptocurrencies across Asia and Africa. Well, I'm not in Asia, and I'm not in Africa, so I'm not surprised I've not heard of them. I'm in the United States, in the Midwest. So here's the piece. Let's get to this. And it's, again, by George Harrop, CEO, BitSpark Limited. It's titled, Can blockchain technology transform Western Union's money transfers? And yeah, this is super insightful, even though I don't agree with everything that he said. I'll explain why as we go through this. Let me just dig in, though. In everyone's opinion, I like how we started that, by the way, Western Union should be the perfect company to implement blockchain technology. As their president, Adelan Almeida, I'm sure I butchered that, told Reuters that the company is exploring the space and expects customer demand for the digital asset to increase. I think cryptocurrency may become one more option of currency or assets around the globe to be exchanged between people and businesses. If that happens, we will be ready to launch. But how can Western Union and blockchain technology firms work together in a way that will benefit both parties? The remittance industry has a lot of variables that depend on each other, and it will be far from easy integrating a new technology. As Western Union sees a great upside to blockchain and crypto, are they willing to make that leap of faith? And then it turns out this is a 6-part blog series, which I didn't even know until I got into this, but I'm only going to cover a couple parts of this specific entry. Anyway, he writes, to conclude my 6-part blog series from my book, The Compendium of Cryptocurrency Remittances, I will look at the opportunities and options Western Union could consider. If you have missed any of my previous issues of the series, make sure to check my articles on LinkedIn, or you can conveniently download the full free ebook here. All right. The solid brand name is more than 150 years old. And they're talking about Western Union. Operates in every country of the world, is in 20,000 remittance corridors with over 550,000 physical locations. So yes, Western Union's absolutely massive. In each country that Western Union is located in, it has local bank accounts, settlement facilities, and an established compliance system. Not to mention, they are the largest online remittance service provider, bigger than every other company combined. Did you hear the part? They are the largest online remittance service provider in the world, bigger than every other company combined, right? And so I want to point out before reading a little bit further, you may recall that, and Brad Garlinghouse cited this in he was on stage at some event. It was shortly after Western Union stated that they didn't really see any cost savings after using Ripple technology. And Brad Garlinghouse cited, they said, well, yeah, okay, so they got efficient treasuries all over the world, and it took them 100 years to build that. And then Brad kind of quipped, he's like, what took them 100 years to do, we did in 6 months. So there you go. And it comes down to the fact that they already, since they do have accounts in every corner of the world, they're basically settling with themselves. It's because they're that massive. No other remittance company could do this. And so that's why once I heard that from Brad, I thought, oh, okay, so this is not really their target client, at least right now. Not the target client. Not that Western Union wouldn't ever use Ripple's technology. Not that they wouldn't ever use XRP. Because even if they are equally efficient, even if Western Union's treasuries are just as efficient as the combination of XCurrent and XRapid, even if, you still have all that dormant capital tied up all over the world, so it still wouldn't make sense big picture. Now, in the short term, I could understand, and I like, there's some of the XRP community that it's almost like they took offense to the fact that Western Union wasn't moving forward. And I thought, well, no, consider their position, what they've been building for over 100 years. Crypto is new. Something could go awry, and if they switch things, and even if they want to unlock all the dormant capital, it would have to be something that's done over time. Because if something goes terribly wrong, they'd be risking their entire business. And so I could totally respect where they were coming from. So again, it doesn't mean that they wouldn't ever utilize XRapid, but understand with their scale, that's not Ripple's target customer. And I've heard Ashish Burla, he's one of Ripple's senior vice presidents. Ashish Burla has stated that they're going for the lower hanging fruit. And so of course there's remittance companies and the initial corridors with high friction from U.S. to Philippines, U.S. to Mexico. But they've also cited that small banks are more likely to jump on board as XRapid customers, because they have to tap into their larger competitors' liquidity in order to complete cross-border transactions. They're literally paying their larger competitors in order to conduct business. It's nuts. And so those are the banks that would jump on board first anyway. Let me continue reading here, though. Every company in the industry often compares themselves to Western Union, be it in pricing or distribution, yet even while all these potential competitors rise and fall, Western Union continues to grow and outpace them all through sheer size and networks. Western Union has been a small but important voice in the growth of cryptocurrencies for cross-border payments. Most prominently, perhaps, was a trial with Ripple for XRP. However, given the recent comments by Western Union CEO, it doesn't seem like that is going anywhere. The reason Ripple is not useful to Western Union is that Western Union's system is better. And again, I'm going to take him to task on that a little bit. I've kind of spoken my mind on that, but I'm just reading from him. So he says that Western Union system is better. Some of this can be seen in the earlier sections about XCurrent and XRapid, but essentially Ripple brings nothing to the table. And again, I wouldn't say literally nothing. It is true that since Western Union would essentially be settling with itself, there's not as much a need. But this is a rare instance. Almost any other remittance company on the planet, including MoneyGram, does see value in this. So keep that in mind as I'm reading this. Western Union is just purely in a unique situation. They're the behemoth. They're the giant. And so I'm not going to fault them for having grown a kick-ass company over 100 years. Good for them. That's fine. So here's the points, though. This is insightful, though. I think you guys are really going to enjoy this. So this is what he has to say. He writes, consider the below. Actually, let me say this first before I read that. The point I did want to make, since he says that Western Union system is better, it's not. At best, it's equivalent, but I still don't think it's better because of the point I cited about they have dormant capital locked up all over the world, and it doesn't have to be that way big picture. So I don't believe that it's better. It's not that different. Other than that, though, it's not that different for them, just for them. Consider the below. XCurrent is a database for settlement between banks. It enables instant exchange of payment data between banks connected in their network for settlement later outside of Ripple via SWIFT. Western Union has already pioneered this, and it is tailored to the intricacies of 180 countries. Western Union can already net settle between itself and its own bank accounts in every country in the world, as Western Union is on both ends in a closed loop. Banking partners in every jurisdiction help Western Union manage these payments in a predictable and compliant manner suitable to them. This infrastructure takes a long time to build. And I just cited that, didn't I? It took 100 years to build. So exactly what I'm saying. But yes, they're settling to themselves. So it's a very unique situation. Point number 2 he has here. XRapid uses XRP for settlement. However, it has no local fiat liquidity in any currency. It is not useful for Western Union to buy XRP in one location and sell it in another because it is often not possible to buy XRP in a certain location and selling XRP for local fiat for more than 1 to 2 currencies in sizes of less than $5,000. XRapid cannot support Western Union as Western Union needs to settle hundreds of millions of dollars today. I think this is a fair point. It's a critical point, but it's a fair point. You need more pools of liquidity that can get to the destination currency. Well, frankly, there are so many different fiat currencies out there. You really need to have in really pretty much every country, you would need to have a liquidity pool, which typically would be exchanges. Now, there can be, I've mentioned recently in previous videos, that you can have pools of liquidity, market makers, that are not exchanges that speculators like you and I would buy and sell on. And so just purely tap into the XRP ledger itself, so you can, which is actually really interesting in terms of volume reporting, because then you can tell that if there's volume that's not on the exchange, that's a pretty strong indication that there's actual XRapid adoption. That's a different kind of topic, though. But in terms of actually getting money, being able to have on and off ramps, you need more cryptocurrency exchanges. And so this is the infrastructure that's being built out. And so that's why even if XRapid is not the most reasonable solution for a behemoth like Western Union, it doesn't mean that it wouldn't be necessarily in the future. But that's probably, seriously, I would say, my guess, given the efficient treasuries and the way in which Western Union is set up, they'd probably be potentially, I could be wrong, but they I would guess, to me, just how big they could be like the last remittance company on the planet to have reason to adopt this technology. All the other ones have great reason to, though, especially as the rails are built. But understand that you've got to have exchanges that buy and sell XRP all over the planet so that XRapid can tap in and then use its efficient path-seeking algorithm to automatically facilitate all of these payments and settlements. So just not there yet, it's still being built out. But that's why when you're looking at specific corridors, you can take those over quick, and then once you have a bunch of individual corridors, it starts to have this network effect, and then larger companies that are operating and have in more countries, it's more likely that they'd be able to take advantage of some of these transactions via the blend of Xcurrent and Xrapid. So there you go. I think that's a fair point, though. It is. It's a critique, but it's fair. All right, point 3. A cryptocurrency like Bitcoin may be viable in some very specific corridors, but ultimately Western Union does not have the problem of capital requirements for pre-funding, and arbitrage benefits would be difficult to scale. Point 4, let's say Western Union did buy Bitcoin or XRP. Who is selling XRP in Ghana? Are Azerbaijan, what is that country? I don't even know what I'm reading there. I guess if I heard it said, I'd probably know, but Azerbaijan, I'm sorry, I literally don't know. All right, or Cambodia. If Western Union needed to sell it, then they would either be selling for United States dollars or selling to themselves. There is no point trading with yourself, as you are essentially mimicking a net settlement database, but with an added burden of managing a volatile token that is illiquid, which is practically what he said 2 points up. It's basically the same point. It's just written slightly different in the way I read it anyway. It is a fair point, though. Yeah. 5. Western Union would also need to be a cryptocurrency exchange on a massive scale. This is something they are not interested in doing. A cryptocurrency exchange is a way to ensure a trade with someone other than yourself and offload your current liability for payment to someone else. This is a tall order. Even if Western Union partnered with a Bitcoin exchange, none of them cater to any more than 1 or 2 fiat currencies. Western Union needs 180 plus currencies. Very fair critique, and that's why I don't think that Western Union is the ideal customer. And they're not the only ones that in which Ripple has tried to sell to, and then they've run into this wall. Ashish Burla has also cited that they were trying to sell to Citibank for a long time, and they eventually just gave up for now. They gave up for now because they just recognized that that's just not the target customer, because a bank as large as Citibank, they're making money from their smaller competitors who have to tap into their liquidity. So why would they want XRapid to exist? Now, once that revenue source dries up, maybe it's time to come back to the table. So all good things in time. So the larger the company, the less likely they are to realize true benefits from XRapid. That's just the reality of the situation. And Ripple knows this, though, and they've spoken publicly about it, and they know who their target customer is, and that's fine. You can't be all things to all people, typically. All right. Let me go down now. So those are the 5 major points. I did find that insightful. I think that, because to me, these are genuine critiques that this person is making. This doesn't sound like it's coming from someone like a Bitcoin maximalist. I like critical thinking. So even if you think differently, that's fine. I'd be curious to hear what you think if you disagreed with any of what I said or what he said there. Let me go down a little bit further. There's one more section of this I did want to cover with you. If I could find it here. He was talking about, here we go. There's a subheading here titled, "The Future Direction of the Crypto Remittance Industry." The remittance companies do not care if the Bitcoin price is $1 or $10,000, as long as it can be bought and sold cost effectively. Then it provides a useful mechanism in conveying value overseas. Let me ask you, for anybody that's listened to me more than once, does this sound like what I've been saying, except for I say it about XRP instead of Bitcoin? It doesn't matter what the price of XRP is. Let me say, he's using Bitcoin in the example here, but it doesn't matter what the price of XRP is when it comes to using it as a mechanism for cross-border payments. It just doesn't matter. So the way the ecosystem works is you have the market makers who make fees on the buying and selling of XRP. And so the price doesn't matter. The business model for those individuals is not to hold it. That's what we're doing as speculators. If you're holding XRP, you anticipate that the price of it is going to go up in due time at some point. And then you'll probably sell some or all of it eventually, right? But if you're a market maker, that's not what you're trying to... You don't care if it goes up or down. As long as it exists and it's getting used, as long as these transactions are occurring, you want to be a part of those transactions so that when there's a buy and a sell, you take a little cut of the transaction. That's it. So the price of it individually does not matter. And I've been saying that for quite a while here, and this guy gets it too. Anyway, the piece continues here. For the past 5 years, crypto remittance companies have continued to build valuable businesses through crypto booms and busts. We have seen how the global banking system is not suited to the demands of the modern day, with copious middlemen, authorities, gatekeepers, and outdated technical systems. Nowadays, blockchain protocols can bring benefits to accounting and record keeping by providing a common ledger for all of the disparate 2,000 money transfer systems in the world to connect and interoperate. However, the settlement part still requires a step further, ideally using a token of value that is publicly traded. Now, here's the part where I got to take this guy to task, because I absolutely disagree with him. As insightful as he is on many of these points, I don't think that he understands the problem with what he wrote here. So let me just read it to you. It's about stablecoins. And he writes, "Stablecoins offer exciting new potential by disintermediating existing currency storage requirements in the banking system. They offer self-custody of cryptocurrencies that have all the features of a national currency, but without the cumbersome onboarding requirements and counterparty risks associated with banking systems in the developing countries. This is the most likely future direction and growth in the cryptocurrency remittance space." I disagree. Look, I'm not saying that stablecoins wouldn't be used, but those are walled gardens. And if if tons of groups all had their own little stable coins being used, backed by whatever fiat currency they want to have it backed by, and through whatever individual entities, none of them are connected then. Stable coins are not a solution. All they do is recreate the friction that already exists today in a slightly different way. That's all that stable coins can do. Well, not literally all, but that is what they're doing. They're creating more friction. And so if you happen to be operating within the network, super duper. As long as you don't have a problem with the central authority and all that, but if you're outside the network, you're going to have a problem with that central authority. Of course you are. Why would you trust them? That's the whole point of utilizing the digital asset. It removes the requirement for trust. That's the reason that it works. So I think that is, I know that's incorrect. The way that he's looking at that part is wrong. Then he writes, the necessity for cash dispensing is a reality that one must consider when entering new markets. In a majority of jurisdictions in the world, there are a few gatekeepers who wield control over the cash dispensing in those countries. Whether by limited licensing, market dominance, or access to banking, disintermediating these providers is the first step to being able to provide a more competitive and efficient global payment system. Regulators and incumbents have no incentive in changing the current trend for consolidation in the market, and therefore innovation can only happen from outside the existing financial infrastructure. A stablecoin pegged to the local national currency that has zero counterparty risk in the case of a trustless stablecoins, no physical reserves in a bank, no single entity controlling issuance, backed by cryptocurrency on the blockchain that is transparent to the public, offers significant value to society. Okay, this is absolutely incorrect also. I have to bring him to task on this also. This is the part that I have beef with here. So he writes, a stablecoin pegged to the local national currency that has zero counterparty risk in the case of a trustless stablecoins. There is no such thing. A trustless stablecoin. Even David Schwartz, who is co-creator of the XRP ledger and Ripple CTO, he has cited that, and he was talking about Libra in particular, but if there's a cryptocurrency that is backed by fiat currency, then it's centralized, which means that trust is required. So if it's pegged to anything, it is not trustless. XRP is a trustless system. That's the reason that it works. And so look, as sharp as this guy may be, he's fundamentally missing something that is very key here. Stablecoins will not solve the problem that he thinks that they can solve. Absolutely, for sure, 100% no, they cannot. The only solution humans have ever come up with, as I've been saying a lot lately, the only solutions humans have ever devised to solve the fractured global cross-border payments world is to utilize a digital asset that is decentralized and does not require trust. The whole reason that there's friction is because trust is required. So, the fact that he doesn't get this is unfortunate here, because, again, he seems like a sharp guy. And I don't think that any of this is like intentional, like any of the stuff that he said that was critical here. The way that I'm reading it seems like it's just general. He's just genuinely stating how he feels. And I appreciate critical thinking, so that's fine. But somebody needs to educate him on this particular part. But I should probably stop here. Again, I read this whole thing, and I think you should too if you've got the time. But those were the major points that I really wanted to share with you. So this is probably a good quitting point. Since I'm guessing this video, I didn't really time this one, but I think I'm over 20 minutes already, so I should probably stop because this is just one topic. So you can see now why I only covered portions of this particular piece. But thank you so much for listening, everybody. I really do appreciate it, and I definitely appreciate any comments you have on this topic. If you think I missed anything or you have a different perspective, I encourage thoughts that are different than my own, because I happen to not be an egomaniac. I know that I can be wrong about things, even though I am well researched. So if you catch anything where I'm wrong, I'd rather know so that I can correct the record. I always appreciate it. So anyway, that's it for this video. I am not a financial advisor. Do not buy or sell anything because of anything that I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo!